Number 56, Caroline DeMesquita.
Hey everyone, Strong Sweet Caroline here, and today I'm going over a topic that I think is extremely underrated and not talked about enough when it comes to physique athletes, and specifically those of us trying to put on more muscle, is why we might have issues with digesting protein, but also ways that we can observe and overcome some of these troubles that we might face. So, first and foremost, I am not a doctor or a medical professional, so please always reach out to someone for specific dietary advice and recommendations. But today I'm going over why, first off, it is important to take in protein. So when it comes to building lean muscle tissue and being stronger, we do need to help the process of muscle protein synthesis. The easiest way to simply do that is to start, number one, training and you're working the muscles, but number two, fueling the muscles with food. If you're just gonna fuel them with carbohydrates and fats, you might put on some muscle, but studies are showing that in order to put on the most lean muscle tissue without body fat, you need to increase your protein intake. The average protein intake for most Americans is unfortunately very low. It's actually, I believe, under like 90 or 80 grams per day, which is very low. When it comes to putting on lean muscle tissue, however, studies are showing that on average you're going to need at least 1.5 to 2.5 grams of protein per lean body mass in pounds. Now, this is going to vary by person, it's going to vary by a lot of things, but in general, that's where a lot of people started to focus on a high protein diet, is because they wanted to increase gains, increase that lean muscle tissue, and have a more toned, I hate the word toned physique. So that's where increasing your protein has come into play. Now, there's been a lot of, I would say, miseducation when it comes to that, because there's a lot of people touting that animal protein is bad, it's going to cause cancer, and then there's other people claiming that plant protein is bad, it doesn't have enough amino acids. And to be honest, that's where having a blended, integrated approach to your nutrition, your health, is always important. So when it comes to protein, we're going to consume protein in our mouth, and it goes down the esophagus and to the stomach and the small intestine. Most of the protein is actually digested and absorbed in the stomach as well as the small intestine, whereas our carbohydrates are actually starting to get absorbed in the mouth. Kind of interesting. So when it comes to that digestion piece, we actually have two types of the digestion. So mechanical, which is when you start chewing and breaking down the food, that is the first type of digestion. And then we have chemical digestion, which actually happens in the stomach due to the acids in our stomach. Now, a lot of people know that our stomach acid is typically pretty acidic. So if we have that high, that's good. That means that our enzymes are being produced properly and we should be able to digest our food well. And on the other hand, if we have low stomach acid, we might have issues with digestion. So on a normal basis, there's actually some studies now about what are the easiest digesting foods. So according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, they came up with what is called the highest protein digestibility corrected amino acid score, PDCAA. And they ranked all these different types of foods on what were the easiest to digest. The top three, ironically enough, were eggs, soy, and dairy. And all three of these are also ones that are the most common food sensitivity or allergy foods that people will develop over time. So that's where it kind of makes things interesting, because if the foods that are easiest to digest could be leading to problems, how do you go about digesting and taking in more protein? Well, that's where having a large variety and diversity in your diet is super helpful. So adding in lean meats, adding in fish, adding in like chicken, turkey, adding in red meat. And there's a lot of people that, especially in the competition scene, the bodybuilding world, you live out of plastic Tupperware containers, you pack your meals, and you ate the same meals every single day, every single week. That's where we start to see people having issues, is because they aren't having diversity in their diet. So actually the only two true symptoms that have been scientifically shown to say that you're having indigestion of a protein is from bloating and stomach swelling. Those are the only two that are proven that it's a protein indigestion issue. So if we're going to find ways to resolve that, going back to the way that our food is digested, the two types, the mechanical and chemical. Starting with the mechanical, first and foremost, slow down when you're eating and chew your food thoroughly. I can't express it enough how often, even myself, I catch myself, I'll be like doing 2 things at once, 3 things at once, and just like mindlessly eating. And a lot of times I'm doing it by myself. I'm not eating with my husband or friends, or I'm not out to a restaurant eating. So I'm mindlessly just consuming food, and I don't chew my food thoroughly. So take some time to just focus on the meal, maybe watch a show or a video on your phone. That's fine, as long as you slow down the chewing process. That way you're actually helping your body to break down the food before it gets to where it's going to be absorbed. So the next step then is the chemical digestion in your stomach. So like I said before, most people, if you aren't having any stomach issues, your pH is going to be higher. So it's going to be like a lower number, like a number 2 or a 3. But if our pH is out of whack and we have low acidity, so more of a basic stomach, we might have issues with the digestion, and we actually will need to help support it for what is called the pepsin and peptase, protease, which breaks down, that's a specific enzyme that breaks down protein. You can help supplement that with hydrochloric acid or HCl. Just taking some of those tablets before eating can help to support that. Another option is take a shot of apple cider vinegar. That can help balance your pH right away. So those are just 2 of the things that you can do. The other piece, which comes to specific foods that you might get intolerances to, or some people I know over time, they're like, I just can't eat this meat. Like, I literally feel like I'm gonna vomit from trying to eat this food. That can be a sign that you have developed some type of issue with it, is swapping the type of food that you're eating. There's, like I said, not necessarily any specific foods, but I hear a lot of the time people who do bodybuilding, even myself, last prep, I couldn't eat chicken for like a month after my show was done because I was just like, I literally just like couldn't stomach it. And there's a lot of people like that, and it might not be necessarily a sensitivity issue, but once again, if you're eating the same foods time over time, the body kind of gets used to it. Just like it gets used to eating junk food, the microbiome kind of dies off and it gets used to kind of the yuckiness. And if you're not supporting it in the right way with fruits, vegetables, fiber, probiotic, prebiotics, that's where you can run into other issues, but that's a whole nother subject. So I hope you all found this helpful. Give me a comment, like, and subscribe if this is something that was relevant for you, and please share with someone that you think it could benefit for. Always trying to help other people improve not only their health, but also just the way that we think about food and being able to live a lifestyle that includes food and healthy eating. So thanks again, you guys, and I will chat with you soon.